Hi everybody, I'm Kelly Kohls, and I am the president of Springboro Community City School Board, elected in 2010. I'm also on the school board of the Warren County Career Center, president of the Ohio School Board Leadership Council. It's a conservative alternative to the association, which I would say that school board members get coached by a lot of people. I'm just trying to help coach people who are like-minded. I'm a conservative school board member, was elected by the majority. Unfortunately, the school board president didn't get re-elected, and I kind of came in, and then now I'm president of the school board. But I came in as a minority school board member, so there were 4 people not like-minded and then me. And I have to say that we were much like Worthington in that the philosophy was the same. The negotiated agreement is something we can't touch, it's fenced off. We only have 15% that we can manipulate. That's all that's left, right? So we were going for 4 levies. 4 levies failed before I got on the school board. The community was so frustrated by our district's relentless requests, relentless scare tactics, relentless hardcore stranglehold that they had on the kids in the community, that while we were going for those levies, they instituted a pay-to-play of $475 per sport per kid with a max of $2,000 per family. They stopped ordering textbooks. They were off the schedule, couldn't order textbooks, didn't have the money. They reduced materials and supplies significantly in the classrooms. They stopped busing. They reduced the gifted services, special ed, field trips went away. So all of these things were instituted because we were in a desperate emergency financial situation, right? And I said, look, I'm just a mom of 5. I was a professor for 10 years, so I was in education, not K-12, but I think I understand education. I taught for 10 years myself. I think I got it. I'm educated. I think I can understand what a treasurer might have to say to me. I think I can understand what a superintendent might have to say to me. But more importantly, I have 5 children in the district. Every dime I own is invested in my home. I have every interest in maintaining the quality of education. But I had a no sign at the end of my driveway for all 5 levies. And the reason I did is that surely you had enough money to effectively educate these kids. Surely you did. And we don't spend anything like Worthington. We're at $7,800 per pupil. You're at over $13,000. It's really about twice, almost twice. So, and we are far wealthier community. Per household, our median household income is 61. Yours is 44. Significant difference. So we have wealth. So people could always say to us, well, you're not paying your fair share. All the rhetoric I heard only aggravated me more. I don't know about you guys, only aggravated me more. So, you know, I'm paying 10 grand a year in property tax. I think that's enough. I paid for 15 years before my first child entered the school system, and I'll pay for 15 years after my last child leaves the school system. So really, I thought, let me go in and say, I don't know what you're saying. I can't believe it's going to take more money. In 20 years, we voted ourselves more taxes 9 times. You know, where's the end is what I kept thinking. So I got elected, same thing. Guess what we did, guys? The other 4, voted to put a levy on the ballot. I voted no, that I did not think we had made the cuts that the community was asking us to make, and that's that salary and insurance figure. It's what it is. Let's talk about the white elephant in the room. So I said no. Well, it failed by more than it had failed by before. Dayton Daily, I don't use the term newspaper. I disagree. They, of course, endorsed the other candidates, not me, and I don't think they do that anymore. Lesson learned. I think it got me votes. In our area, we understand them to be a bit biased in their reporting, so I think it's helpful for a conservative-minded person, because when they read it, they think, okay, we're with her, not with them. And it works rather well. But what happened was we failed the 5th levy, and I kept saying, I don't think we should put it on. I think we're going to fail a 5th time. Let's try something else. So, it failed the 5th time. My school board, which was not like-minded, and I just kept sharing the information, just like what he's doing here. So you fail this one, or you pass this one, whatever, you still need to have the information. Do you need more money, or do you need to spend differently? That's all I'm saying. And I believed we needed to spend differently. And I had a number of suggestions, and there was a Educate Springboro group, just like your Educate Worthington group, who stood up at the podium and they would give us a 12-step program for a spending addict. I mean, it's kind of funny. And they would tell the board members, and I was sitting up there with them, that there's 12 steps that you could make to save money so that you don't have to go for a levy. And a lot of it was the pay and benefit system to remodel that. And again, it's a negotiated agreement. But part of what we have to do is educate the community. I mean, if you look at the average teacher salary, it's $74,000. The household, usually 1 to 2 workers in the household working all year, is $44,000. Do you see the disparity? Sometimes it's a matter of just letting people see the disparity so that we can have the conversation with the numbers. Not just, you're just a selfish person that doesn't want to give any more money. I said, yeah, I have to buy that pizza. I'm always told it's just a pizza. I got 7 of us to feed that pizza to. So you're talking about a meal. You're not talking about a pizza, you're talking about a meal. And I've elected to give myself more taxes so that I go without less meals. Or I go with less meals. There, double negative. I go with less meals. And to our faculty and staff and people that were continuing to get the 5 to 7% raises while I lost 60 grand a year, you know, there's a disparity here, guys. I can't keep funding a lifestyle that I can't afford myself. Sorry. That's just the economic reality that we live in today. And somehow we've got to come to a meeting of the minds that the people in your community losing income are probably not going to wave, yeah, let me keep you in your lifestyle. I'm glad that you get to buy a new car, but my income has gone down over the last 5 years. And that's just the economic reality. So we talk real life issues. So last November, I think my community, you know, as outspoken as I am, decided that I had some good points. They elected 2 more of me. So in January, we took board majority of like-minded people, and now we have 4 of us because the president just couldn't take us anymore and quit. I'm vice president, and I just go right over to the next seat. Thank you very much. So now we get to talk as a group, but we're kind of on the same page with making sure that we have parity. Because I believe that if we go on the ballot for a levy, it's because we will absolutely need it, and then we've brought parity to a system that is totally out of whack. Totally out of reality with what the private sector is doing. You said, I heard you say something about, doesn't the market dictate that? I'll tell you what school districts do, many government agencies do, is they'll compare their pay to the next guy. And they'll say, well, we pay less taxes, the next guy pays more, so therefore we have to ratchet ours up to get to the next guy. Now, we had a position open for a 1st grade teacher. We had 1,000 applicants. At $34,600 starting salary, we had 1,000 applicants. So if we were to use market principles, do we have to pay $74,000?
That's a different district. I mean, does that happen in Worthington?
Do you see your districts here? Do you see that your comparable districts
no, I'm just asking if you have 1,000 people per applicant.
We're the only one. We're the only one that's not on there. All those most of those districts are similar districts too. So your demographics are very similar.
I'm not talking about demographics. I'm saying it's supply and demand. If you want,
are you saying that? Well, Mark, you can help me out. How many applicants do you have for a teaching position? Is it like, how many does it take to say you're in the market? You're in the right place. Is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 300? Pardon me?
It's comparable all over the state. There are hundreds.
Hundreds, right. So again, if we're using the market to determine what that pay and benefit system is, I'm saying we've got a flooded market. We're not using market principles. We haven't been for a very long time. Should we? That's up for Worthington citizens to decide whether you should. I'm saying that Springboro decided yes. We need the market to dictate this price tag on this. We can't afford to keep giving raises when we don't get them ourselves. It's just common sense. We did a survey in our community, Educate, Springboro did, and they found that the healthcare cost split in the private sector of the people that responded, which was about 100 people, responded that their healthcare cost split was 50-50. If you look at, and I have a PowerPoint, and I can send you the PowerPoints because I have data and the references for everything I say on my PowerPoint. But she told me I only had 30 minutes, and my whole PowerPoint is more like an hour and a half. But the Kaiser Healthcare Study, our audit firm, did a performance audit on Springboro, and I used that. I actually went back and I showed my board members the things that that audit said. It was in 2009, so before I got there, I said, look, it's saying you need to get your healthcare cost split more in line with the national average. Guess what the national average is? And the national average combines private and public sectors. And we all know public sector is more like 10% cost split, and the private sector is more like 50. So combined, they're at 30. We're nowhere close to that yet. And you're right, it all comes down to that negotiated agreement. How do we negotiate something? I think a lot of it is educating. I have to educate the district employees just like I have to educate the community. The district employees, I want them to understand why the community said no 5 times. That it's got nothing to do with some personality conflict. It's not that we're selfish, self-centered, whatever you want to keep going with. It has nothing to do with that. It's that we understand the disparity, and we're saying no more disparity. Let's fix this, and then we're all for you. And if we go back on the ballot and we don't pass by 75%, I'll be embarrassed because I have not educated both sides. And my fear is that we will go back on the ballot. We're going to have a renewal. And I have not decided whether I'm going to support that renewal. But if we don't get that renewal, it will absolutely devastate our district. We didn't pass that levy, and it was 11% of our operating funds. This levy is very, very little. It's like a scratch. Ours was 11% of our operating funds. We didn't pass it. We went from a projected $30 million deficit when I came on the board to now a projected $12 million surplus. No new money, people. And there was hundreds of things that we've changed. And we've got a whole lot more that we're working on. Lots of little things and lots of big things. We did freeze base and steps for a couple years. We'll see what happens after that. I'm guessing, though, that now that the community is pretty well educated, if we do go all the way to a strike, that's going to be a problem. Probably not for the school board. But, you know, it's a public support. What does your community understand, and what are you willing to give? If you're willing to give some more money, then give some more money. Absolutely vote that for yourself. But I don't want to give more money or give the impression that you're going to fix any system. You're not going to fix it. You have to have reform. That's why I formed this organization called the Ohio School Board Leadership Council. I said, look, I'm not the only school board member that got on and it's like beating my head against a wall. Every time I looked at doing something, I was told, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. It's all in the negotiated agreement. We can't do that. Here's one of the things. You guys probably do it. Mark, you can answer me about that. But do you guys give pickup? You don't want to be pointed. Mark, share. Mark and I have had many, many conversations. So, Mark, do you guys give pickup here to your administrators?
Yeah.
Okay, pickup was one of those things that I gave to Dayton Daily. Notice I didn't say newspaper. Tabloid. And I gave them an article, and they barely made light of it. And I said, look, we canceled high school busing. And high school busing costs us $150,000 a year. But we chose to maintain this bonus system that we have for our administrators. It's called pickup. It's where your state mandated to pay 14% as a taxpayer, pay 14% of their income into their retirement. That's okay. That's the law. That's what we do. You know, we have Social Security. And the district employees pay 10% of their income into STRS, retirement system. Okay? But in districts like Worthington, and we were doing it in Springboro, we were paying their 10% for them. So it was like a $10,000 bonus. So we chose to continue that bonus, but cancel high school busing. So we couldn't afford to continue, and here's what I kept saying. We can't afford to continue safely transporting our students, but we can continue the bonus system that has now been cut off of most private sector jobs. And my board members would argue with me, of course. They weren't like-minded, but they said, no, it's a part of the pay. And then I asked legal counsel, well, actually my board president asked legal counsel, can we do away with that? And her answer was no. It's 3319.01. You cannot. The ORC code says that you may not reduce an administrative compensation package. I said, okay, wait a minute. Surely they come up to the end of a contract, can't you offer them a new contract without it? You not renew this one and offer them this one. Take your choice. You can come or go. And, you know, the answer was, well, yeah, I guess you can do that. So it was possible. But what we get from legal counsel often, and now we have different legal counsel now that I have board majority, we got a different perspective on things. Okay, now we have legal counsel that now says, what do you want, board? Because that's what we're going for. So we went back to legal counsel and said, look, we're doing away with pickup. You tell us how to get it done legally. It's gone. Okay? So there's ways of getting some things done. If the board agrees, if you have a conservative board who says that's a bonus, if it were a bonus that the private sector were getting, we'd probably still support it. But it's not. It's a part of that pay system that it's nice. I'm grateful for the years that they got it, but it's not in our budget anymore. Just like my husband's perks that he used to get. Just like health insurance. Now we pay $20,000 out of our own pocket for our health insurance. We didn't have to pay before at all. So things have changed. We're living in a new economic reality. Start practicing that sentence. A new economic reality, and we all need to live there. Because all we're doing is creating divisiveness. When one segment thinks they're entitled to live their lifestyle that they've always lived and enjoyed, and I don't begrudge anybody their income, never have I done that. But if you look at ODE site, and it's a fabulous source, I've navigated it for many, many hundreds of hours, but if you look at Worthington household income over time, you'll see that in the last 5 years, the last 10 years, it's not changed much. Okay? But if you look at the income of your staff, it's changed considerably. Okay, so we're looking at a trajectory. I was able to show Springboro residents had an income trajectory where they would increase their income by about 2%, 2.5% back in 2009. And then it was 1.5% in 2010. And then it was negative 1.5% in 2011. And it's just going like this. And then I was looking at teachers under a pay for teachers. I keep saying teachers. I need to say all staff because I like to look at the whole district, not just one segment. And what I saw was that even under a pay freeze, their income was going up. So there was a difference in, again, that economic reality that I needed to share. And once we both understand, we're not going to be divided anymore. We're going to be on the same page that the kids matter. Now, I said I had 5 kids. 3 of them now have graduated from Springboro. 2 of them left at home. And I have to say that even without that those failures of 5 levies, without that money, we were named a Blue Ribbon School last year. Blue Ribbon Schools are named by the national government for schools that have exceptional progress in their different schools. We are a Blue Ribbon School, one of 7 in the state to be named. We have maintained excellent with distinction. Our average ACT score went up. Hey, I got a couple of them that got in the 30s. Help with college on a couple of them. But anyway, our progress towards education has become better. Why? Because we're holding everybody accountable. Everybody accountable. My business manager said to me last year that he's written up more people since I got there than he had in 10 years combined before I got there. And if we look back at records, now we're finding, the guys and me are finding that nobody's been written up in a decade. Nobody's been evaluated in a decade. Not even one administrator had been evaluated in a whole decade. Why is that? Well, nobody's being held accountable. So there's quite a few things we need to change in education, and it's holding people accountable for not just the finances, but are you doing what we're supposed to be doing? And if you're not, please part ways with us. Go find another district if you can. But we need to get the best of the best. And I say, you hear that, best of the best. We need to pay this to keep the best of the best because our teachers will leave. My point is, where would they go? Where would they go? I mean, with 1,000 applicants per position, I don't think so. If they've got a few years of experience, we told our HR manager, which I think all districts should do, you hire at the BA 0. That's it. That's all the money we're giving you, BA 0. And at the BA 0, we got that 1,000 applicants. So everybody started at the starting salary, 1,000 applicants. I'm just saying, again, and a master's degree, not shown to be effective. I've got a PhD, but I'm not going to get more money doing a job that doesn't take a PhD, right? They're not going to pay me more because I have these degrees that have been proven. It's been proven not to be effective for me to, I don't know, drive a backhoe or whatever I want to do. I would love to drive a backhoe. That was a good example for me to use. But I'll take that because I could go on for days. The things that we have done, I have to tell you that as a board member who came onto a school board was not, superintendent was overheard saying that he wanted me nowhere near that district. This was when I was running my company. I don't want, I'm just a mom of 5. What would I do? How could I hurt somebody? I'm just going to ask questions. And I'm probably going to insist that you answer them. So it took me 4 months to get one of my questions answered. Actually, the union threw a ULP at me month 2. Superintendent resigned month 3. I had a very exciting first 6 months. The treasurer resigned month 2. It was all happening right there at the beginning. I'm thinking, this isn't all bad, because sometimes the philosophy shift means you might have to get some new blood. And we've done that. We've gotten a whole lot of new blood. And now everybody is on board with putting the children first. The children come first. We have now instituted a zero-based budgeting. Every classroom submits a budget to us. Just happened this summer for the first time. Every teacher says, here's my budget for the year. Here's all the supplies I need to teach my students, so that nobody can say anymore that we don't fund the classroom supplies, because they get funded first. And that teacher's salary is in that budget, as it is. And I've always said, guys, we don't need pay cuts. I would rather not do that to somebody. I've dealt with it in my household. Many of my friends are living on 1/3 of what they lived on. Lots of them. And they've left their homes. I mean, we've had the financial devastation before the levy defeats. Now, our houses are selling again, even with all those 5 levy failures. So this whole scare tactic of your home value dropping, well, crap, the economy does that to your home value. It's not necessarily a levy passing or failing. We haven't noticed much of that difference. But zero-based budgeting means that we will fund what that teacher needs, because that's important to the education in that classroom. Second, the principal then takes all of their budgets from all of their teachers and puts it together and says, okay, and here's what I need. I'm going to add this to it. That's what I need, including their salary. That's funded. And then we get to this pyramid, and if you go to Educate Springboro, I think you'll see that pyramid. I think it's been shared with Educate Westerville, or your group, right? You got that pyramid on your taxpayers for Westerville schools?
It's not on the website yet.
Okay, it's pretty cool. But we fund this the basics of the pyramid, the 2nd tier, 3rd tier, 4th tier. But 4th tier would be, you know, we used to budget where we fenced off what was in the negotiated agreement. Now we made a 5-year forecast that has 0 across on the increases in retirement and insurance. Now that might be unrealistic, but what we believe, I believe, is that if we put a 3% increase in our pay in our 5-year forecast, so each of those years we're putting 3%, 3%, 3%, then that assumes that's our start point. And that's not true these days. We're in a new economic reality. I think we should assume a 0 and try to work from there. Same with insurance. I think we should assume a 0 and try to work from there. And I would love to make sure that this negotiated agreement works out great. But again, we have to make each other see the new economic reality. Okay? So we have zero-based budgeting. We made a policy that we will not deficit spend. We will not spend more than we bring in. So we're going to have to make the budget work for a very long time now. We're not due for a levy for at least another 5 years. It'll be a total of 9 or 10 years since we were in an emergency situation. And we put back all the things we took from the kids. We put back busing. We reduced pay to play by 50%. We reduced student fees by 25%. We put back materials and supplies in the classroom. We put back field trips. We increased our special ed and gifted services. We put back all that stuff that was taken because it was falsehoods. I'm sorry to say, but my district was not telling the truth. And I simply said I won't be a party to that. I will tell my community the truth. When you say we've had pay freezes, that's not the truth. I'm going to tell them that you still have step raises and they equal 4% for teachers and about 2% for everybody else. That's the truth. And if my community says that's fine by me, great. But at least I've not disguised the facts of the district. Okay? We've done a lot of things. I said it took me 4 months to get this. Schedules of every teacher. Because he said, what? You want what? Why do you want that? And I don't think I have that. I mean, for months we went on, I couldn't get it. I just want to see the schedule. Every teacher, you give every teacher a schedule at the beginning of the school year. I know I was one. So I got a schedule so that I knew what my next class was. I finally got it. And what I was finding, guys, I was really disappointed, is that we had ratcheted up class sizes artificially. That they got up to 32 in one particular grade. My son was in there. I know. We're all thinking 32, that's above that marker for effective teaching. We wouldn't want to do that, no. Only if we were in a financial emergency. But it turns out that we had chosen a style of teaching that gave an extra duty to those teachers each day. So a planning period and a duty. So they had another hour off, and that was to talk about the students and their progress and whatever. It was a whole lot of words for what I saw was ratcheting up class size on purpose. And one of them actually admitted it to me. So there was ways that we were making that a primary concern to people with children in the district, right? Because you don't want your children in large class sizes. Anything over 27, I mean, I've read the research. Anything over 27 in the upper grades, like 5th through 10, are probably getting beyond your capabilities as an instructor to give them the attention they need. So at 32, yep, we were about 5 people over. We don't want that. So we did away with the duties, got some pushback on that, but now we brought class sizes back down to where they should be. So things are done with a different philosophy. It's a philosophy shift that you all need. Just my recommendation. You vote your conscience. I said this the other night. I didn't vote with my 2 buddies. We actually had a 3-2 vote the other night, and I was not with them. So there's a shock. A shockwave went through the room. I said, I vote my conscience. I'm not afraid to have a 4-1 board. I had that for a couple of years. And I'm not afraid to have a 3-2. I vote my conscience. So that's what we need board members to go in and do. You have to use all the evidence you've got, make your decision, stand by that decision. If you made a wrong decision, then you go back to the drawing board and bring that policy back out and fix it. Okay, any questions?